That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
All right, welcome to Around the Ring, episode 74. It is Sunday, December 4th, TLC Sunday, 2016. I'm one half of your host, Dave Brown. I'm joined, as always, by my good buddy, Floyd Johnson. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well. Great wrestling weekend and week for me this week. I get to attend TLC today, and so I'm looking forward to talk about some wrestling.
Yes, and we talked about this last week, but if you did not check out last week's show, we will be doing our TLC review tomorrow, and it will be up on our YouTube channel. So do me a big favor, head over to youtube.com/AroundTheRingOK, click that subscribe button, and you will know when our review goes up. So what do you want to talk about first this week?
Let's see. I think the biggest thing to talk about. Let's see. There's so much. We got so much, so much to talk about this week. I guess we can just start at the beginning of the week, okay, which is Raw.
All right, Monday Night Raw. My first impression of Monday Night Raw was it was really dark in the arena, and I was wondering if the arena wasn't very full and they had a lot of the lights off, because normally they have a lot of lights so you can see the crowd. SmackDown does it a little differently. They're normally traditionally darker because they've done a really good job filming the shows differently. But this Raw was really dark, and I was wondering, as I'm watching, I'm like, I bet this place is really empty. Did you notice that?
I absolutely did not notice that at all. I'm only going to reference it. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because there's nothing to talk about. I went to a house show last night, and they keep it dark at those. I mean, when I was even looking around the ring, where I'm usually like, wow, I can't even count how many lights on the rings. There were only 4 on each side. So if it was that dark, I would 99% of the reason would be because the crowd wasn't there. But that's just me guessing, because just based on my previous experience, Raw is like one of the most well-lit shows usually.
Okay. Yeah. How was the house show, by the way?
It was boring.
Oh no!
The crowd. I ended up getting in on tickets that were pretty much. They were in the 100 section, and they were $18 a piece. They dropped the price really low to try to get some people in, and you could tell. So most of the people there were adults bringing their kids, and the kids were into it, of course, but the adults weren't. So it didn't make for a very loud show, and it was. I've always been told about the magic of house shows and how they do stuff different in house shows. Honestly, it looked like they were holding back so they didn't get injured for the show tonight, and it really did. And I wasn't even looking for it, but even when they were doing some of their spots and all that stuff, it looked like they weren't all the way into it.
Well, that actually makes sense considering they've got a big pay-per-view tonight. And now with so many more pay-per-views that they have, and I really hope those rumors about next year not having as many pay-per-views are true, because just in the, 5-6 months since the brand split, it has been ridiculous, the number of pay-per-views we've had to deal with. Not that they
every
haven't been...
2 weeks.
Yes, it's just too much. But it makes sense from the wrestler standpoint, why go balls to the wall in a house show when here in literally 24 hours you're going to be on pay-per-view? That makes perfect sense.
Some people, it's their first experience at a wrestling show. So you really want to go all out every show. I know I don't deal with the injuries. I've never been a wrestler. I want to make that clear, because I'm not talking as someone that has experience with my body getting hurt every day. But you really want to go out, because the people I was with, this was the kids' first show, and you really want to give them a good show. There was a lot more audience interaction after the match. They were literally signing autographs for people in the front row right after the match, and that was cool. But it was like Dolph did his super kick, and he I wouldn't say completely missed, but I could tell he missed the Miz.
Oh, man. So it makes you wonder, I almost think they need to cut back on the number of house shows. Because when they first announced the brand split, and there was the idea of, okay, well, that's going to give people at least, it's going to give everyone a night off. But no, they decided they're going to run a SmackDown house show during Raw and a Raw house show during SmackDown, which is stupid. Because it's just dumb. Give these poor folks...
They shoot 205 Live at the Raw house show.
Well, I thought they shot 205 Live right after SmackDown.
No, they shot it at the Raw house show.
Really?
If you look at the set and how it's built up, it's way too elaborate of a set to switch in time for 205 Live.
Okay, because I really thought they were just going to do that live right after.
And the crowd there was like nobody there.
Huh? I hadn't noticed that. Yeah. Because I thought
way too elaborate of a set.
Yeah. Well, what I'd heard is that they have canceled Superstars.
Yeah.
They're going to start filming main event after Raw or before, however that works, and they're going to film 205 Live after SmackDown.
I was like to say, if you look at this show at SmackDown, if you look at it, that was a Raw house show.
Interesting. Well, hopefully they will start, wherever they do it, because we'll get to 205 in a minute. Let's talk about Raw. What did you have any takeaways from Raw?
Takeaways from Raw, love Braun Strowman. I love this whole gimmick with the Foley and Zayn. Basically, Foley's trying to stop Sami Zayn from being Sami Zayn. Newsflash, I actually got to see some of Sami Zayn's personality, and I kind of dig it. I kind of see where they're going. If they're going with him being kind of a new Mick Foley and him and Mick Foley having some disagreements or beefs, I can dig it because like I said, my biggest problem with Sami Zayn is that you don't get to see much of who Sami Zayn, the character, is.
Yeah, this whole segment was great. I loved how Braun Strowman pretty much used, except for the reverse choke slam, he brought out every finisher he has. And I love that the guy has like 4 or 5 finishers. I thought that was cool. And yeah, the Sami Zayn Mick Foley stuff was great. Mick Foley getting so wound up that his teeth fall out. That was really well done, I thought. And yeah, you're right. You got to see a lot of Sami's character. What else stood out to you?
I hate that Sid lost in North Carolina. I mean, Charlotte's literally his hometown, and I hate that he lost that match. I was like, come on, give him the win at home.
Yeah, but man, the crowd popped for him.
They did,
and they were into him too.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, give him the win. That's why I'm like, give him the win.
Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. That was but I mean, they are building up Tony Nese, and both of those guys. That's something we'll talk about when we get to 205 Live. I think both of those guys long term have a lot of potential outside of the cruiserweight division, especially Cedric. And
I'm going to say he's wrestled at heavyweight most of his career anyway. This cruiserweight thing is very new to him.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're starting to do the makings of a Raw storyline with him and Alicia Fox, which I think is pretty cool because she doesn't get on TV much. And I, as much as we want to get away from the whole idea of eye candy and valets, there's some women that work for the company that can still enhance main characters in that way.
Well, and if you think about some of the best stuff Cedric did in Ring of Honor was when he was working with Veda Scott.
Correct. And I think WWE might be pulling that out.
Yeah. I don't want him to turn heel yet because he is so over as a face, and I think he's really good naturally as a face. His heel turn in Ring of Honor was perfect because it seemed like, he wasn't going anywhere. And he was frustrated, and so that worked perfectly. And actually, his whole feud with Moose was really good. But if he got Alicia Fox, I mean, it's not like she's doing anything. Might as well give her something to do. Anything else jump out to you, really?
I'm just looking at the rest of the show. The whole Reigns thing was predictable. Paul Heyman. I come into the show and I'm literally, I come in the show and when I'm coming in, I'm posting on the club that this needs to be one of his best interviews. I mean, he has to captivate me. He has to, and he did. He did it perfectly. This man is, I hate to keep saying the same things, but he's the perfect salesman. I mean, he could sell me a new house when I just moved into my house. He could do the things on the mic that he can do. I hope he can pass on to someone else because it is truly, truly epic. And I'll go into the interview and it was just like, I come out more afraid of Brock Lesnar. He just got dominated and I come out more afraid of Brock Lesnar.
Agreed. That was a fantastic interview. I love how you literally see the tears welling up in his eyes. The whole thing, it's just the emotion, and yeah, he sold it, and he sold the match. And now I think, in looking back at the match, for all of the complaints that were out there about the match, and reasonably so, we had a really long discussion about that last week. It sets the match, I think, in a different light, and he does a really good job in selling the whole. Okay, this Bill Goldberg guy, yeah, he's 50 years old, but we completely underestimated him, and he's a whole lot more badass than we thought, but Brock's going to kill him.
Yep, and it sold the Royal Rumble match in itself.
Yep.
Which is, and you have a storyline going into the actual Royal Rumble match. Not to overshadow, there's going to be, of course, a lot of mini storylines going into but you have that overarching Royal Rumble storyline.
Yes, yeah, that was really cool. Something else that stood out to me, the way the crowd booed when Chris Jericho said that he was no longer Kevin Owens' best friend. It was, you could tell they were like, no, don't break this up, please.
Yes,
and that whole storyline going through the show, the beatdown that Jericho received in the parking lot, with the exception of that awful looking pedigree on the roof of a car, but then again, I will forgive that because he's doing a pedigree on the roof of a car. And then you're right, the match with Reigns is completely predictable, but that after the match interview where Kevin looks like he's about to start crying. And he's like, Chris Jericho's still my best friend. That whole thing I thought was really, really good. It just, I mean, does Roman now? I mean, where do we go going forward at Roadblock? Is it the predictable Roman wins? LOL. Is it Jericho helps KO win? Is it Jericho causes a DQ? I mean, at least
I think if they really, and I see it more being Owens and Jericho, Jericho, they're swerving everyone again, and him beating Roman Reigns, leading into a Royal Rumble match because that would make more sense. But when I look at it, situation, I don't think they built Roman Reigns up enough to me. I mean, if you're really trying to be like, okay, fans, forget about, you hating him. I want you to go back to cheering him again. They really need to probably feed him Braun Strowman.
Yeah, they need to feed him.
And I'm thinking Braun Strowman has to come out and just destroy him on a Raw. I mean, like, beat him down. Maybe not at the Raw, at the pay-per-view. Braun Strowman just comes in and destroys him, puts him through an announce table. He has to get carried off, write him off for a few weeks. And then the triumphant return as Roman Reigns comes to Braun Strowman. I mean, like, really sell it if they want to. Because the only way the people are going to accept Roman Reigns as being strong is if you make him look weak first.
That's a great idea. In fact, I would go so far as to, at that pay-per-view, have Braun Strowman destroy him so bad we don't see him until the Royal Rumble, have Strowman in the Rumble, and have Roman's not even part of the Rumble. Maybe have him come out through the crowd, have him distract Strowman, which allows James Ellsworth to eliminate Strowman. So there's some, what's the word I'm looking for? connection there. I don't know. So that would be kind of cool, because I thought for a while that and I stole this idea from Solid Monster, to be fair, but the idea that Ellsworth eliminates Strowman from the Royal Rumble would be just a great moment, especially after what happened at Survivor Series. But yeah, because two things will help Roman really the most. One, getting his ass completely handed to him and getting destroyed, and two, being off TV for a while. Is when he had that hernia thing and he was off TV for a while, it helped him so much.
The way he wrestles, and I may have said this before, he's a momentum guy, and it's hard to keep for momentum guys to have really long, solid matches. So with Strowman, it would work because Strowman would dominate most of the match, and then Roman Reigns does the big comeback, hits all his moves, and they could write it somewhere where he has to do like each move like 3 times to really, really beat Braun Strowman. But yeah, if you make him look really weak, I mean, he gets dominated and then he comes back. People love those type of stories. Yeah,
agreed. They have to do something like that, because at this point, it's getting, what I noticed when Reigns came out is he's almost getting the I'm not going to react to you at all, because he got boos. He wasn't showered with boos like he was in the previous weeks. It was he got boos and a lot of people sitting on their hands, and that's bad. That's almost worse than boos, because if it gets to the point where people just don't care, eventually he will get go away heat, and we don't want that, because honestly, Roman Reigns seems like a really nice dude, and he's not a terrible wrestler. He's just been booked so poorly, and with the whole WWE we know what's best for you attitude, and that's why people hate him. But they're getting...
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I was a Roman Reigns fan. I have a Roman Reigns shirt. I'm big on... I was, of course, big on the Shield, and I figured he was going to be the star coming out of the Shield. I figured he had the WWE look and all that stuff. And I started realizing myself that I was not liking him, and then I realized that it was more of how he was booked. I mean, it was that forced your way down your throat booking. He was like, John Cena lost. People don't realize how much John Cena lost in his first year or two before, he became, in that year 3 or 4 when he started to become Super Cena. That was great, but he lost a lot, and it was just like, okay, and they were building the character. Roman Reigns has never lost, really, and people are like, well, he's good, but is he this good? And of course, to the smarkier fans, as we call ourselves, it's more of, we know that they're just pushing him down our throat. And to the other people that don't really know, they kind of take their cue from the smarky fans. I feel like Roman doesn't get booed because people don't like him. Roman gets booed because the smarky fans are really loud, and the casual fans are like, oh, we're supposed to be booing this guy.
Yeah, and I think they really missed their moment. Had he won the Royal Rumble in, 2013, when it came down to him and Batista, because people were so anti-Batista, and during that Royal Rumble, since the Shield hadn't broken up yet, it wasn't, other than the smarks who knew, figured looking at this guy going, yeah, he's going to be the one they push here down the road. But he hadn't jumped on that, rocket to the top yet. And had he won then, it would have been a whole other story. Because people were really into him right at that moment, because the Shield was still together. The Shield's cool. Hell, you get the Shield back together right now, and people's attitudes toward Roman Reigns will change. Even I suspect that even if the Shield got back together, stayed together, and Roman won either the Universal or the World title, depending on which show he's on, as long as he's in the Shield, people would be okay with it. Because he works so much better with those two guys.
Yeah, if they did something within the Shield where, I've been kind of pushing for this, where they have Raw and SmackDown, but they should have some type of faction, club, group, whatever you want, that actually goes on both shows. And I just think that would bring an overarching storyline, how this group is going against the idea of the brand split. and they're buddies and they're just showing up on each other's shows because they can. I think that would be awesome. So I could see that with the Shield. And I'd say the Shield coming back together with Dean still on SmackDown, as in they ignore the rules. Basically, they're Triple H's boys. They can do what they want to do. That would be a good storyline. I could see doing it with other people, but I just feel like with the whole idea of Roman Reigns, he's better when he's part of a group because he can just come in and, like I said, he doesn't have to work a lot of the match. He can just be the badass.
Yeah, that's a great idea. They need to wait a couple years because we got to let this brand split simmer for a while before we start doing too much of that stuff. The only other thing I wanted to talk about there are two things. On Raw was I thought they did a much better job on this episode with the cruiserweights in general.
Yes.
The Cedric match was really good other than the finish. The triple threat that Rich Swann won with that kick that looked like he about took off TJP's head, and Brian Kendrick getting so fired up during commentary was really, really good. It was like, okay, why haven't we had this cruiserweight division the entire time?
Yes, because they were treating them like old school women. Let's just throw as many of them as in a match as we can just to get them all on the show. And I'm like, no, don't do that. You need to let them identify and build their own personalities. And that's the best thing about 205 Live is they're going to be able to show each individual's personality, and that'll lead to the overarching being more over on Raw.
And then there was the main event. You had Sasha Banks becoming a 3-time WWE Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion specifically, with the most brutal-looking Banks statement in those steel aisle thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that had
on
to
the
suck.
handrails.
Yeah, the handrails. Oh man, and Charlotte is the perfect person to take that since she is so bendable.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, but that was a good match, and there were parts of it I fast forwarded through just simply because I watched it today and I was running out of time. This morning I woke up, I was like, okay, I gotta watch the main event of Final Battle. I've got to watch the main event of Raw. I've got to watch 205 Live. I've got to watch NXT. How much time do I have? Crap, not much. So, but yeah, what'd you think of that?
Let's see. The match in general, I feel like it was one of their better matches, and just because I guess they got the paint outside the page or whatever, they got to, and it really did bring a little bit to the match. I hate that Sasha won. It just they're kind of playing hot potato with the title. I don't like it. I don't like that she's a 3-time champ that has never successfully defended her title. She's lost on her first title defense both times that she's been the champion. That annoys me. I would like to see them hold the title more. And it's just like it's setting up like we're going to get another match at Roadblock. So someone has to win twice in a row. It looks like it may be Sasha. Hopefully that sets up a feud with anyone else. Maybe Nia Jax. That would be kind of cool. But the match in general, I don't want to take away from what the match was and the story that it told. Sasha beating Charlotte in her hometown was, the get back from Charlotte beating her in Boston. And then even more of a dig is that she dedicated the match to Ric Flair. And that was like perfect storytelling. I don't know if they came up with it, how the writing went, but the fact that Sasha dedicated the match to Ric Flair, that was awesome. And then Ric Flair comes down and celebrates with her. I don't know where this is leading. If it's leading to Ric working with Sasha, that'd be awesome, because whenever they decide to do the boss heel turn, if they decide to do that, it works perfectly with Ric Flair being her manager, as in Ric Flair is the horrible influence on her.
That would be cool. Yeah, I thought that was a great moment, which we're going to talk about moments later on. But that was a very cool moment when she won. Yeah, my fear is that she's just going to drop it again at Roadblock. So here's what I hope. I hope next week, or I guess tomorrow, that they have the rematch and that Sasha wins and they both move on to somebody else. And at Roadblock, that way at Roadblock, Charlotte can go against someone else and keep her pay-per-view win streak going, and Sasha can keep the title, because you're right, that title needs to stay on someone for a while now. It's been back and forth too much. There's nice serendipity. That's the word I was looking for earlier. But there's nice serendipity to the whole Sasha beats Charlotte in Charlotte's hometown callback to Hell in a Cell. But it just needs to. They need to be separated for a long time.
I really wanted Charlotte to hold the belt till Mania and then Sasha win it back in Mania. I thought that would have been the bigger moment. Charlotte's first pay-per-view match would have been a loss at WrestleMania to Sasha Banks. To me, that would have been more of the driving home. But they have some idea what they want to do with Ric Flair. I'm pretty sure it's going to lead to something with Bayley. I'm actually pretty excited about where they're going, because they changed that title again. I mean, they're both 3-time champions at this point. Charlotte can't win on Raw. Sasha can't win. You can't win at a pay-per-view. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, since we were just talking about the Cruiserweights, and since they are a Raw thing, let's go ahead and talk about 205 Live.
Okay.
So first of all, overall impressions of 205 Live.
Really dug the show. I am with Austin Aries being a part of the commentating group for now. He's really good on the mic, and his whole he puts himself over the whole time is great, because of course Corey Graves and Mauro Ranallo does what he does, and Corey Graves does a really good job of telling the intent of each wrestler. I can say I do miss Daniel Bryan, because he breaks it down. That old school breaking down why each move hurts, actually, for me, complimented Mauro Ranallo better. But actually, Austin Aries coming in and just kind of talking about how he's better than everybody else. And from what I understand, it's going to lead to him debuting on 205 Live, gives them a name for 205 Live, and almost an ROH feel to their belt.
I agree. Yeah, I thought that was a fun. I didn't expect that. I don't think that was on any rumors that I saw anywhere. And him just showing up there, and we even talked about that months ago. How we both questioned whether or not he had any future on the main roster, but we could have seen him in the cruiserweight division. So hey, go one for us. But yeah, I thought the three of them complement each other very well. I agreed. I do miss Daniel Bryan. But it was also nice. There was a moment, and I don't remember the exact conversation, but there was a moment Corey said something, and it made Mauro really laugh, and he had to stop for a minute. And you don't always get that with newer teams. It's like when every once in a while JBL and Cole would do that to each other, and I always thought those were their best moments, when they would F with each other so much that they literally had to stop what they were doing. And so that was kind of cool. I thought the commentary was great. I loved the introduction of everyone when they brought everyone out and went through and introduced every single person, especially the biggest pop of the night, at least during that part, for Cedric Alexander. That guy is so over. And you mentioned giving this a Ring of Honor feel. I loved during the Bollywood Boys match, when they did the Code of Honor, how Austin Aries says, "I don't get this whole handshake thing." That was a great little callback to his time in Ring of Honor. I thought it was hilarious. The vignettes were all really good, but they've always done a great job with vignettes. The only thing that I thought was weak in this whole thing was poor T.J. Perkins during that backstage segment with Brian Kendrick and Tom Phillips. He just sounded like he was just regurgitating lines and not even having a real conversation.
Well, let me say this. It came off to me, and maybe it came off slightly different. It came off as, I have to say something I don't want to say, and if you think of it that way, it's like, I have to wish this person I hate good luck. I think it adds more of a dimension to his acting skills in that one.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, you're right.
I don't want to say, I have to wish you good luck. I freaking hate you and I want to punch you in the face now. But if you lose, I might get pushed to the back of the line. So I have to say the stuff I don't want to say.
Okay, and see, when he made that comment about if you lose, I might not be in the title picture anymore, I kind of figured that as, I interpreted that as him saying, no matter if you win or lose, I'm coming after you after this.
No, see, and that's what I was taking it as is TJ Perkins, his main thing is still being the champion. And if, Kendrick loses, he gets his rematch before Perkins gets maybe another shot.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I see that. But still, Perkins should still get his rematch at some point, theoretically.
No, your rematch is against the person you lost it to. I've seen that over the years of wrestling. Yeah, you lose your rematch if that person loses their belt. Crap,
I'd never put that together. Huh. Damn, learn something new every day. What'd you think of the matches on the show?
I dig the Bollywood boys. I think the dancing at the end of the match went on a little too long, especially since the crowd really wasn't into it. But other than that, I know it set up the interview on the outside, but they kept doing the dancing. I was like, dude, it's time to get out the ring, cut the commercial. It just went on too long. But yeah, Gulag and Nice, I like the combination of them. They both have that unique style of dress, but I thought the match was really good. I'm a big fan of Gentleman Jack Gallagher going on to the next match, and I thought Daivari sells really well.
He does. He's so much better than his brother.
Yeah, and it's just like he's really good. When you look at him, it's just like he can get lost because he loses. Like, I don't think he's won a match. Like, cruiserweight, all that. I don't think he's won a match. So you can lose the fact that he sells so well in his matches with Jack Gallagher.
Yeah, I love Gallagher. I just think he's great.
It's Gallagher?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. He could. I'm going to lean towards you because you would probably pay more attention than me. I see Gallagher, so I say Gallagher, but I hear you pronouncing it Gallagher. So.
Yeah, I thought that's how. Who knows? He's British. It could be pronounced some other way. But he's great. He does the vaudevillains gimmick 10 times better than the vaudevillains do, because I think that's actually him to some extent. He was great in the Cruiserweight Classic, that match he had with the other really buff dude who's not Tony Nese, who just we haven't seen him since, but he had this really awesome match with that guy, and his that headbutt and then the drop kick in the corner. Whew. Oh, so brutal.
I like when he ties the guys in the knot and then kicks them in the butt. I laugh like every time. And it's like I know it's coming and I still laugh. Because I'm like, if someone did that to someone, that would be so funny to me.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I really loved about that match is basically he came out to almost crickets, and by the end of that match, the audience was completely behind him. He is a guy that can win over a crowd, and I think we're going to find these crowds, as they get to know these guys, warming up to them. I think the first few episodes you're going to have a lot of this. Only a couple of people are going to get really strong pops, but as matches go on, the other people get over more. And I think Gallagher is going to be one of those real standouts at first, because we know the two big stars of this division are, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann, and you're going to get, I think Gallagher is going to be one that works his way up there as well. And then you had the main event. But, okay, before we get to the main event, I loved the use of vignettes in this, because this was really, let's get to know these people.
Yep, and I think you're going to still get it a little bit more over the next few weeks. But yes, I really enjoyed the videos. But WWE, you've mentioned it so much before that I feel like they can get a guy over with videos or the vignettes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then we had the main event: Brian Kendrick defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Rich Swann, a guy who pinned Kendrick on 2 different occasions. And I thought this was a great match.
I thought it was a great match. I'm going to say this, and I'm not skipping over the match. I felt like even the end of the match had a very ROH feel to it, because he ended it with 3 straight kicks to the head. But the thing that I don't want to do, it looks like they're going to do the same thing they did with TJP. and they're going to, really focus on Rich Swann's struggle of his parents died, he had a drug problem, blah, 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 wrestling saved his life. And I'm just like, why? Why not just focus on this dude as the life of the party that is really super athletic, that can do a 450 splash standing, and how much of an athlete he is?
My hope is that they will do that eventually, and at first it is that garners sympathy and gets you to connect with him, because there were a few shots of people in the audience, and after that promo, I swear they found like the one guy in the crowd who was tearing up, and they focused on him for a second, and it was like, okay, this is a story that connects with people. But yeah, they can't, where they screwed up with TJ Perkins is that's all they ever talked about. I think Rich Swann is charismatic enough, and we've seen him do more than that in NXT. I think that he will be able to say, okay, this is the beginning of my story, let's continue my story and not just focus on that, because he is so much more charismatic than pretty much anyone else on this whole roster. He is that, I mean, he begs you to look away. It's like, I dare you, don't look at me while I'm in the ring.
Yeah, he's really exciting. The kick is sick. The way he does it is so sick.
Yeah, it is.
And the way Brian Kendrick took it was really sick.
Yes. Yeah, that was so 205 Live. I really enjoyed it. If it continues the way it has been, it will be probably it will be tied for either my first or it will be my second favorite weekly show that WWE produces. The other one, my favorite, being NXT, but we'll get to that in a minute. I did not watch SmackDown this week, but you did. What are some of your takeaways?
Okay, yes, SmackDown takeaways. I kind of just have to remind myself because I watched it. Alexa Bliss is amazing on the mic. I like how it ended with Alexa kind of getting the lucky push on Becky and pushing off the top rope, and then ends with Becky through the table and Alexa like over her. That was kind of cool. The American Alpha and Wyatt family. I actually, if they really want to do this feud, I actually look forward to it, because you have four guys that are amazing in the ring with contrasting styles, which I really dig. Carmella. They just found her niche as a heel. I mean, she's so good as a heel. I'm ready for this Dean and AJ feud to be over. It's kind of run its course for me. I don't know why, but it just seems like Dean says the same thing, AJ says the same thing, and it's just, okay, you kept it fresh for a very long time, because honestly, this is the first week I feel like I'm really ready for it to be over. So maybe that's the goal, is, getting a blow off tonight. But Kane, I don't see why they keep putting him over Luke Harper. I guess they're trying to build some type of Luke Harper, Randy Orton type of heat there. I don't really like it. I feel like the Wyatt family, at least for like 2 or 3 months, because fans are digging it, should be all together. And then you start sowing the seeds of Randy Orton and Luke Harper not liking each other. I think you should really, focus on them being together for the first 2 months. Becky, I love her. I kind of worship the ground she walks on. She is horrible on the mic to me.
Yeah, that's not one of her stronger suits.
Yeah, when she tries to ad-lib, it's even worse. And it's because her real personality, she is so goofy and she's so corny that when she tries to sound, she's such a nice person. When she tries to get tough, it's just not good. And it's like, I don't know. I always say, I always bring Heyman up because everyone has talked about how much he's helped people with their promos, Tommy Dreamer, Taz, all that stuff. I feel like he could help her with her promos because she's one of the best wrestlers on the roster. She's legit, but she loses something when she talks.
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about her working with Heyman, but
It was just on her promos, not like being the Paul Heyman girl like everyone wants to talk about now, but just working with her on her promos because her personality does not come off on the promos. Especially, I don't take her serious as a last kicker, as she likes to call herself. So I think he could help her with her promos. The whole AJ Dean coming to AJ beats up James Ellsworth, which was awesome. And Styles Clash he takes off the stairs onto the ground was awesome. I thought he was dead because it looked like his head hit the steps, but when you watch it in slow motion, it didn't. So.
Oh. Well, after their previous encounter with the Styles Clash and AJ having to save Ellsworth's life, I think they probably worked on that. Would be my guess.
No, but it was like a razor edge. It looked like his head had hit the stairs.
Oh.
But he did a pretty good job of not letting that happen and him not dying. But yeah, it was honestly a great way to end the show. SmackDown does build up shows. They do the show before, I always forget what it's called, the show before the pay-per-view.
Go home show.
They do those better than any other show. But the main thing I want to talk about is the Orton Wyatt and American Alpha.
Okay.
I would like Orton and Wyatt to, I'm not saying completely go like this, but wrestle more revival style. I think that would add to the American Alpha match. But the match was, they had Heath and Rhino watching from the back. And then they had the Luke Harper appearance, and then Wyatt pinned Jordan with the Sister Abigail. It was just perfect storytelling. You knew Orton and Wyatt were going over. I did want to talk about an overarching thing on SmackDown, which I always go to, is the tag division. You have all these career tag teams, right? Mm-hmm. That they're not going to break up. They're pretty much going to be tag teams forever, right?
Right.
And so you give the belt to Heath Slater and Rhino. First of all, they've hold the belt way too long. They pretty much should have lost them at the next pay-per-view because I don't think they're going to be a tag team forever. You can tell that by them being Slater and Rhino. Every other tag team kind of has a name, So they're not going to be a tag team forever. So the team that they should lose to should probably be a real tag team. Well, no, you're going to bring in Orton and Bray Wyatt for them to lose to, which that's what I honestly think is going to happen. And it's like you give the belts. You have the best tag team division with the most actual tag teams, and you're going to keep giving the belt to these temporary tag teams.
True, but think of it, the way I look at that is you've got Randy Orton, 12-time world champion, won tons of other titles, and Bray Wyatt. Both of these are main event level guys. So for the team that does beat them for the title, because I agree, I think when we'll do our predictions here in a second, I think the Wyatt family is beating Slater and Rhino. But whoever does beat them, I mean, that's going to be a big deal. Those are guys, both of those guys have headlined pay-per-views. So that is going to be a huge rub, a much bigger rub than beating Heath Slater and Rhino. As much as I've enjoyed Heath Slater, he's been great, which is amazing for me to say because when I first started watching wrestling again, and the first time I saw a three-man band segment, I wanted to murder all three of those guys because it was so awful. Specifically Slater, I was like, get this fucker off my screen, please. This is terrible. But now I enjoy everything he does because he found it. He's actually really good, and he's being used well right now. So yeah, whenever American Alpha, who I may be the ones who beat the Wyatts, finally do, that's a huge rub because you get Chad Gable or Jason Jordan pins Randy Orton or pins Bray Wyatt. That's some serious stuff right there. So let's do TLC predictions, unless you had anything else from SmackDown.
I did not have any.
Okay, so TLC is tonight. It is in Dallas, Texas, and you are going. Do you have pretty good seats?
Yes, I'm in the 100 section. I've always preferred to. People know me. I've never been a first row or on the floor type of guy. You miss a lot of the show there. So I am a 100 section type of person. I generally want to be 100. In most buildings, it's like section 105, 106, because it's right across from the camera, and you can see the whole arena, and usually you're on TV at some point in time. But I'm actually on camera side, so I probably won't be on TV very much. And I'm a little further closer to the entrance than I like to be, but still pretty good seats. I mean, as far as distance, really good distance. They're pretty much the same section I was in for Raw after WrestleMania.
Okay, well, very nice. Well, according to the old Wikipedia here, this is a 6-match show. The first match is the tag team match, which we were just talking about. Heath Slater and Rhino defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. As we both just said, I think it's pretty safe to say the Wyatts walk out with the belts.
Yeah, unless they're really going to start sowing the seeds for Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, which would suck because fans are so into the Wyatt family right now. It's definitely going to end with Randy and Bray walking out with the belts.
Yeah, and it's too early, man. It's one thing when they put Daniel Bryan with the Wyatts, and the crowd at that point was just loved Daniel Bryan, and they knew that this whole thing with the Wyatt was just to get him out of the world title picture. And the crowd wanted none of that. And they were like, no, Daniel Bryan, world champion, now make it happen. And so that's why they ended that one so quickly. Plus there was it a basketball game or some college basketball game, I think it was, where there was that real famous yes chant that erupted. And I think that made WWE officials go, whoa, if this is happening at random-ass basketball games, we probably should get this guy back to being a babyface, which led into one of the coolest moments on Raw ever, which when he turned on the Wyatts in that cage match and took out Bray Wyatt and then sat on the top doing the yes in that thunderous crowd. Such a cool moment. But yeah, this is a totally different situation. People love Randy Orton with Bray Wyatt. I think it's on paper you go, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton together? What? That's weird. But it works. And so, yeah, they need to win these titles. They need to hold them for a while. I say through, WrestleMania, and maybe lose them at WrestleMania. You talk about it.
Maybe lose them at WrestleMania. If you're really going for the rub that they'll get, from beating them, I say they hold it like a long time, like June, July. And then just lose it. And one of those middle of the year, you need a spark type matches, and then Gable and Jordan do their thing.
Yeah, because what you could do is you could have them win at the Royal Rumble. American Alpha has a match with the Wyatts. They're about to win, and who comes out to spoil the show? The Revival, which sets into a Revival American Alpha feud, which goes on. And then maybe the Wyatts hold on to the belts until, say, SummerSlam. And at SummerSlam, they have a non-title match against whoever the Raw Tag Team Champions are. Maybe even keep it on the New Day that long. They have a match. And then maybe at that point, Broken Matt shows up and challenges the Day of New. But we'll get to him in a little while. And then, sometime after that, you could have American Alpha beat the Wyatts, and that would be a huge rub because they would have held the titles for a long time, and that would be really compelling storytelling. Because some of these joint pay-per-views, I think there needs, other than Survivor Series where you get your 5-on-5 matches, I think on some of these joint pay-per-views having champion versus champion matches would just be fun. Sure, it may not have any meaning, but, neither does the All-Star Game, especially now that it's not going to determine who gets home field advantage in the World Series, and what the fuck ever that was about. But still, it's fun,
Yeah, and next year at the Survivor Series, I feel like whoever should win Survivor Series, now that I thought, should get the main event at WrestleMania. Should be the belt.
Agreed. Let's make those matches mean something. Yeah, agreed. So this goes on the pay-per-view. We've got tonight, it's going to be Kalisto taking on Baron Corbin in a chairs match. Do you even care?
No.
Okay, I don't either.
Kalisto should be on 205 Live. I don't buy him beating Baron Corbin. Will never. But maybe with a chair. If he beats the crap out of him with a chair, and they'd have to make it look pretty freaking violent to do that. But we all know Corbin's going over. We know Corbin's going over. Corbin, they're just trying to keep him away from being in the title picture for some reason, and it needs to happen.
Yeah. Here's what I would rather it be. I would rather Kalisto get a freak win with some kind of chair shot. They wouldn't never do it, but the Hurricane Rana he does where he spikes guys' heads into the mat. If he spiked Baron Corbin's head into a chair, which they're not going to do for various very good reasons, but if they did a spot like that and he could get a fluke pin, you could continue this feud a little bit longer and then work Corbin into the Intercontinental title picture, and then eventually into the world title picture. But yeah, really, I give no craps. With 205 Live, you got to wonder if 205 Live becomes a success, which I think if they keep booking it the way they did this week's episode, I think it will be a success. If they do that, they basically make it their own version of Ring of Honor in a way. I think it could be a great long-term show, and I don't see any reason why you eventually wouldn't get Kalisto in there, why you wouldn't get Neville in there.
Definitely Neville. Neville, yeah. A Neville Austin Aries 205 Live for the Cruiserweight title. I think it would just draw indie guys, it would draw hardcore fans, and it would just be an amazing match.
Oh yeah. Okay, we got to stop talking about that because I'm going to get too excited. All right. Next up, we've got Nikki Bella versus Carmella in a no DQ match. And, Carmella as a heel, much better. Her in-ring work is still iffy, but her mic work is so much better. Who do you think's winning this one?
She needs to win.
Yeah, she really does.
If you're building her up as this monster heel, maybe you're going to feed her to Becky Lynch next. She needs this win. I don't care how she gets it. Me personally, I think it's going to be Natalya jumping Nikki Bella and causing Carmella to win because Natalya is the one that attacked Nikki Bella at the Survivor Series. That's how I feel it will. That's how I feel it's going to go down, and Carmella's going to get the win, and then she's going to go in the feud with Becky. And Natalya and Nikki are going to feud because Nikki doesn't need the belt. She's the biggest star on SmackDown because of Total Divas and Total Bellas. So she really doesn't need the title to be over.
Agreed.
For people to care about her feuds. Even for people to care about her feuds, they're going to care because she's Nikki Bella.
And you know what's cool, and actually Sam Roberts talked about this week on his show. What's cool about this pay-per-view and what they're just another feather in the cap of SmackDown is the fact that we've got two women's matches with two separate storylines.
Yes.
With all these things going on, and you look over at Raw, and Raw is the Sasha Charlotte show. That is all that's going on in the women's division, despite the fact that they've got a lot of talented people over there. You look at SmackDown, and again, smaller roster, but they're doing more with it. I love the fact that they've got two women's matches on this show. I agree. I think Carmella needs to go over. I think there will be tomfoolery thanks to Natalya, and who knows, maybe Natty gets involved, and you get Natty and Carmella teaming up, and Nikki finding a partner, and you get a tag team something or another going on. But yeah, that's I think that'll be hopefully not terrible. Nikki has gotten a lot better in the last few years in the ring. It was like once Paige showed up, and I think Nikki started to see the writing on the wall, and then especially when the horsewomen showed up, Nikki was like, oh shit, I actually have to start wrestling well, and she's improved a lot. So she's not great, but she's not complete crap either.
She's like a heavyweight guy. She does her stuff. What she does really well. Don't ask her to paint outside of her box. She's not comfortable with it.
Exactly. But you know two guys who are comfortable painting outside of a box?
Who?
Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. And they're in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Best thing about these two is that they do tell a different story every time they wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'm not tired of this feud. I don't feel like it's told a lot. I'm never tired of The Miz because he's such an old school heel that it is refreshing. It's like watching 80s wrestling when he's out there because he does it with up-to-date type of things, but he's just basically, I'm not going to let you cheer me.
Yeah, he is. He's really good. He's better in the ring than he shows most matches, and that's, I think, what's good about Ziggler matches is that, well, one, Dolph can make just about anyone look good because he's that good in the ring, but they mesh so well that you get excellent matches. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I have one of their matches in my list for matches of the year. I think it's in the honorable mentions in there. So yeah, this should be great. And Dolph Ziggler has a history of excellent ladder matches. That one he had with Luke Harper a couple years ago was fantastic. So this should be a lot of fun. I don't know who wins though. I mean, I would like to see Dolph win and Miz go into more of the world title picture, maybe kind of go turning AJ face type thing. But honestly, I think it goes with the Miz because the Miz and Daniel Bryan dynamic is just so good right now. And it's funny because I'm saying he's going to keep the belt because it's dynamic with a non-wrestler. Yeah, I would. So thinking future-wise, I would, because I think Miz eventually needs to get in the world title picture. Right now might not be the time, though. So I would say I think the Miz needs to win, and Dolph Ziggler should actually get a feud with AJ Styles.
I was kind of hoping Dolph wins, and then Baron Corbin feuds with Dolph for the title because Baron Corbin needs a belt. He really does because it leans more to the Tye idea that I'm only here for the money type thing, and it makes him more of a heel.
That's true. I think more. Is it just me, or do you think this potentially is going to be the show stealer? This has the match of the night possibilities.
It's sad anytime Dolph Ziggler's in a match. I feel like it's got that chance, but him and The Miz, their chemistry is amazing. So yeah, it could definitely steal the show.
Okay. Well, we've got two more to talk about. Becky Lynch defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss, who is just, you mentioned earlier, Alexa Bliss is amazing. She just, yeah, I think Becky's going to win because it's not quite time for Alexa to win. But her work on the mic is so outstanding. Her facial expressions are so good. Yeah.
I feel like they should give her a tag team. I truly do. And I think she should still wrestle, and I think they should very much focus on her as a wrestler. She's good, but I really think she could help out the right heel tag team.
I mean, she did a great job with Blake and Murphy.
She did, and I'm just like, I can just see that with that. The Vaudevillains are on SmackDown, right? I always forget, right?
I think so.
If you want to get rid of the vaudevillain character to get them more over, you could put Alexa with them, and she could tell them, like, I mean, it worked in NXT, it doesn't work here, and you could revamp their characters.
Yeah, I would almost say bring up Blake and Murphy. But
yeah, the only thing interesting about Blake and Murphy was Alexa Bliss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You make them her valet, and they're a tag team that loses a lot, and that pisses her off. And then she goes in matches and she wins, and she just tells them, "See, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to win."
So yeah, vehicle. I mean, it could definitely be used as a vehicle to get her over. And if you really want to talk about equality, having two male valets would definitely lead to the equality for Alexa Bliss. They can help her cheat, distract the referee, pull, trip women. It would be so cool that they really actually, if they're willing to do it and, swallow her pride, just go all in on being, her valets.
And why not? It's not like Blake and Murphy are doing anything right now anyway. They're really not. And they're not going to. Let's be honest. So let's give them to Alexa. They're her valets, and the three of them have really good chemistry together. So
Yes.
so why not? But yeah, do you think Becky's winning?
Oh yeah. It leads to that unless there's some kind of hijinks, which it's a tables match and there's no DQ. So I don't like. I guess the table match and the ladder match I guess makes sense because you end the match by climbing the ladder or putting someone through a table. I don't like the idea of the chair match. So if you hit them with some other weapon other than the chair, is it going to be automatic DQ? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's not as lame as the stairs match.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just exactly. And then we have the main event. AJ Styles defending the WWE World Championship against Dean Ambrose in a TLC match. This should also be really good. If this is going to be probably, I suspect, the second best, if not the best match of the night. It's going to be between this and the Miz Ziggler match. At least it should be.
AJ Styles is the perfect person to lead SmackDown because he's the indie guy turned good. He is the heel / face type thing where he's the heel / face type guy. The thing I can see, I've gotten two ideas in my head on this. One is James Ellsworth cost Dean Ambrose the match. And Dean Ambrose, that leads to basically Dean Ambrose turning heel and beating the crap out of James Ellsworth. That's one way I see it. The other way I see it, which wouldn't really tell that great of a story, is James Ellsworth costing AJ Styles the title. Because James Ellsworth's beating AJ Styles every time, so it's not like he would be getting this great comeuppance on it. So yeah, I'm going to lean with James Ellsworth cost Dean Ambrose the title, leading to Dean Ambrose turning heel. So AJ wins tonight.
I can see that. There's also the possibility of Ellsworth turning on Ambrose and becoming Styles' lackey.
That gives him more legs. I mean, I agree that gives him more legs. That you can stretch that through WrestleMania. You can make that go a long time.
Yeah, but then the problem with doing that is you lose out of the possibility of a great moment during the Royal Rumble where he eliminates Strowman.
Yeah. So I think they're going to keep Ellsworth face as long as possible. And the big thing with it is, Ellsworth and the whole he's trying to be friends with Dean and Dean goes heel on him and he's running away from Dean. I think it tells a better storyline long term.
True. And the other thing you could do is eventually you could have, if you want to then turn AJ face, is you could have Dean just just go on Ellsworth, mercilessly go after him to the point where, he turns heel and just killing the poor guy. And AJ looking at it and going, dude, that's enough. Leave this guy alone. And then, do a storyline like that where he looks at it and goes, God, I can't let this poor fool get killed, and have some heart. But in a way, I'd kind of like Ellsworth to just not even be involved, because I think these two could have a really good TLC match. But yeah, AJ is the perfect person to be the face of SmackDown, and yeah, I think AJ is walking out with a belt. So, did you have anything else on this before we moved on?
I wonder what their pre-show is going to be. I feel like they got to get American Alphas on the show somehow. Maybe they got to get another tag team match. I'm going to maybe do a fatal four-way, and the winners become the new number one contenders or something like that. I just feel like they're going to add a tag match to it.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to do something on the pre-show, though. Do they really? I mean, less is more.
I'm going to be in the building, so they better do something on the pre-show.
Poor Floyd's like, damn it, I paid money for this. I need a pre-show. I need something. Because those hot dogs are going to be overpriced.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat before I get there. I rarely eat at the show unless sometimes they'll have the club level open where you can get better food.
Right.
But other than that, I stop somewhere and get something to eat.
That is probably a really good idea.
Well, you as I say, you spend as much money on tickets as I do. You have to cut corners where you can.
Good call. All right, let's move on to NXT. Now, you did not see NXT this week.
Unfortunately, I didn't realize until right before the show I didn't watch it because I was actually up pretty early and I could have watched it, but in my mind, I had saw it and I didn't see it.
Well, not a ton went on. So it was in Ottowa, Canada. I almost got the feeling that it was recorded right after SmackDown, the post Survivor Series SmackDown. But I wasn't sure. I haven't researched this. There was, but the show basically focused. There were only a couple of matches. There was a backstage segment where Samoa Joe was being interviewed. He gets interrupted by Tye Dillinger. Tye says, "Hey, I want a match," and Joe says, "Why do you think you deserve a match?" And so Tye slaps him in the face. Really good segment. There was a No Way Jose and Eric Young match, and I will say, No Way Jose is getting a lot better in the ring, and for so long, I think most folks' initial reaction to this guy is, okay, he's a one-trick pony. This poor guy's like the next Fandango, but I think he's got more personality than Fandango, at least in his character. And he had a good match with Eric Young. Sanity is fantastic. Eric Young got the win, and then after the match, Nikki Cross just went and gave a missile drop kick off the top rope to No Way Jose, and she is great at crazy. She is so good at crazy. And the main event, there was another match that I'm totally forgetting. So that shows you how, maybe there wasn't. Shit, I can't remember. Anyway, the main event, Tye Dillinger against Samoa Joe. Really good match. It really made Tye Dillinger look good, and obviously he lost. But it was a really, really good match, and I really think Tye Dillinger is about to be called up because it was another kind of send-off moment at the end. He did the whole, I stand in the ring, look around, the crowd, sad. And he was talking a lot, if I can't beat Samoa Joe, maybe I don't deserve to be here in NXT kind of thing. So maybe he's going to show up at Raw or SmackDown at some point. Yeah, in the 10 thing is over. We're also going to talk about that when we get to something else here in a minute. Yeah, that was the show. The one thing, though, I wanted to talk about with NXT is I was listening to last week's episode of Voices of Wrestling, and one of the hosts basically set up this question: should NXT continue to be a worldwide touring brand? And the reason why he asked the question is because the Raw and SmackDown rosters are so thin. What's the point of having this third brand that tours the world where you've got star power on this other brand that you could use on your two main shows? And then just keep NXT as really a developmental territory that works in Florida and it has occasional big shows right next to your big four shows. So what do you think about that? Do you think NXT should continue to be a third brand, or do you think it should move back to more being a developmental territory?
They tour limited, so what they're doing is getting these kids, like the new people coming up that are not the veterans. I feel like they're getting them ready by giving them just a little glimpse of touring and getting their feet wet on it. So I think that is part of developmental, is learning how to tour. You don't want their first tour to be when they hit the main show and they don't know how to handle the hotels and the car rentals and all that stuff. They're out in Japan. They're going on these little mini tours as they get used to traveling.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's on the one hand, it's like, it's almost like that saying, your lack of preparation does not make an emergency for me. So it's NXT is doing everything right, really. So why should NXT as a touring brand have to suffer because Raw and SmackDown aren't as, specifically Raw, aren't as prepared as they should be? And I think it's the touring they do right now is a good amount. Now when they're doing the Florida loop, do you want your big name stars on every single house show in the Florida loop? Probably not, because what happens is you have someone like Hideo Itami take a slam wrong or be given a slam wrong and ends up missing 6 months because of a fluke injury.
Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles main evented Oklahoma City last night. So when you get to the main roster, you have to wrestle at every show. So why would you set the expectation as anything different in NXT?
Good point. So there's that. I like what NXT is doing. So selfishly as a fan, I really don't want NXT to change that much.
And anytime they tour, they sell out. And WWE's never going to pass up on that money.
That is true.
Even Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and I forgot, Salina, Kansas. For the amount of seats that they had in that building, it sold out. Every seat was full.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're both kind of in agreement that the NXT needs to just keep doing what they're doing, because it's a good way of preparing people for the main roster, and it produces great shows that people really, really have fun going to. But this segues into a story that I found probably through Facebook. It was on the Sportster.com, which is the top 15 soon-to-be free agents that WWE will sign. And this could have a lot of impact on NXT specifically. So I thought we'd go through this list and see what we both thought of any of these potential people coming to NXT and or Raw or SmackDown.
Okay.
So the list starts out with number 15, James Storm. Bobby Roode's former tag team partner. He did a couple days in NXT and then was offered more money from TNA, and he's an older dude, so he took the money. And apparently there was no bad blood between him and Triple H when he did that. What do you think? You think James Storm might show up again?
I would like to. I could see it showing up again. I don't know. They would have to do some. I think he could work in a tag team. But as far as a singles wrestler, he would have to work on his physique, because he definitely has the beer belly. And he just started that he just started a gimmick where he was a part of a group with Bram and someone else in TNA.
So a lot would hinge with this on TNA's future, whether or not TNA sticks around. I don't really think he works in WWE, and I don't think I know AJ is Southern, so it works out. I don't think they want to go too Southern, and he's another dude that when he talks, he's country. Yeah, I don't think he would be a guy that you would bring in to maybe be a coach in the Performance Center and then show up occasionally on NXT to help build people up, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think, even if he came to NXT, I don't see any future for him on Raw or SmackDown.
Nope. Not at all.
All right.
I guess if he grows out the beard, you technically could put him in the Wyatt family if you wanted to.
Or you could put him in Sanity.
Yeah.
So next on the list is Drew Galloway, or the former Drew McIntyre. Who has, since leaving WWE, has caught on fire in both. He's done a great job in TNA. He's done really good work in Evolve. He's done great work in the United Kingdom. Do you think he would ever come back?
I love Drew Galloway. Absolutely love him, dig him. He's got everything you want in a professional wrestler. If you're going to bring him, you would have to bring him to SmackDown and push him to the moon. I could honestly see him as a permanent NXT guy, but I'm not overly excited. I like his stuff on the Indies. I like that he can do kind of what he wants on the Indies, and I like that he's the big guy on the Indies. I would love for him to show up in ROH, maybe put over Donovan Dijak, because Donovan Dijak's a huge dude. So that would be cool too.
Yeah, I'm with him. I'm kind of like you. I'd rather see him stay on the Indies, because he's one of those guys who's kind of proving, hey, yeah, it takes a lot of work, but you can make a good living as an independent wrestler. I just think he fits better, and I think he's been happier from what you can tell in interviews and whatnot on the indies than, because he gets to WWE and who knows how long before he's right back where he was. Look what happened to Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio got fired. He showed up in AAA, became the Mega Champion. He did a stint in ROH. He was on Lucha Underground. He was on fire. He was doing great performances. He shows up in WWE within a month, is boring as dishwater.
Well, and again, when you talk and when you listen to Alberto Del Rio's interviews that he gave up, that he's been giving since then, he says he was originally supposed to be with Paul Heyman, and then they put him with Zeb Coulter. So, yeah, that's the difference in greatness there.
Yep. All right, number 13 on the list, Gail Kim.
No interest.
She could, she's good, though.
She's a really good wrestler, but I feel like she has zero personality, and you need a personality in the WWE.
All right, number 12, and this was one that I think both you and I would love to see happen, Jay Lethal.
Yeah, probably. I'm not a big emotional crier type guy. I would probably share the tear the day that he debuted in the WWE, because I really have seen him develop from this basic kid on TNA with a cool name to Black Machismo to now he's one of the better wrestlers in the world. They would have to do it right. Right. But yes, I could definitely see Jay Lethal coming.
Yeah, I would, and I think an NXT crowd would lose their freaking mind.
I'm talking about Shinsuke Nakamura type entrance where he debuts as that NXT right before WrestleMania. That would just blow the roof off.
And the CFOs need to make an entrance theme.
And if they, like I said, the fact that he's African American can have nothing to do with his character.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, just kind of like in a way.
And they've done a good job with Cedric, and they've done a good job with Rich Swann. They're not. It's not really part of their character.
Yeah, agreed. Just like in a lot of ways, Shinsuke Nakamura being Japanese isn't a huge part of his character, because it's not like his music sounds overly Asian kind of thing.
See, it does to me.
Really? Not to me. Not as much as Hideo Itami's.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hideo Itami is generic Asian guy.
Damn. What I think, if the CFOs, though, they made an entrance theme that is basically the one he has right now in ROH, just slightly different, that could be an epic entrance. Oh yeah.
CFOs, they might be MVPs of this year because their music got Bobby Roode over.
Oh yeah. Yes. The behind the scenes MVPs, CFOs, for making glorious domination. Number 11 on the list, Kenny Omega.
I like him as an indie guy.
I don't think...
Would he work in the WWE? Yes. Because I feel like he's one of those hard-working dudes. He would work wherever he goes. But I like him as an indie guy. I think you need a strong independent wrestling. And he is one of the top 5 indie guys. So I like him in the Bullet Club, the Elite, and as an indie guy.
I think you would be really hard-pressed to get him out of New Japan. Because New Japan is a company that has a lot of money. They might not have WWE money, but they have a lot of money. And it's going to be, between him working there and ROH, it's going to be really hard to pull him away from that.
And he doesn't care about being in Japan. That's another thing. You know, AJ really wanted to be back in the States. So that was easy. That was an easy deal. But Kenny doesn't mind being in Japan.
Yeah. But if Kenny shows up, would you rather him be in NXT? Would you like him to show up with AJ and redo the Bullet Club?
Not redo the Bullet Club. He should almost be like Eric Young. They give him a group with some younger guys, and he probably just uses them to get over. You know, because he has that attitude that could pull that off. He takes younger guys on his wing and literally just uses them to become NXT champion, and then I'm out. I could see that.
That would be cool. All right, number 10, Broken Matt Hardy.
Yes. Just yes.
Yes.
I just think the potential. I think you should bring in both Broken Hardys if possible.
Yeah,
and the potential feuds that you can do with his type of broken character with the WWE production would be amazing.
And number 9 is Brother Nero. So yeah, I agree. I think it would be very cool. Maybe either WrestleMania, Raw after Mania. Let's just fantasy book here for a moment. New Day still tag team champions. Raw after Mania, they're going on and on about how there's no one that can beat us. And then Vanguard 1 comes flying into the arena. Lights go out, and you have Broken Matt and Brother Nero on the entrance ramp, and the place would lose their freaking minds. Absolutely, that would be very cool.
Yeah.
And then because something we'll talk about when we talk about Ring of Honor's pay-per-view, that would just tie into the Hardys, the Broken Hardys, taking over everywhere they go, and that would be a very cool story. Let's see here, what's next?
10 WWE.
Stop. Okay, Okada, because I cannot pronounce this man's first name. The Rainmaker.
I don't think they got a spot for him in the WWE right now.
I don't think he wants to go to the WWE.
I mean that probably has something to do with it too. But right now they got Nakamura probably going to the main roster. They're going to really start working on Hideo Itami. Hopefully he can stay healthy long enough for them to push him. It's just you don't want to me, go overly Japanese just because you can. To me, in an American product, you can start taking away what makes Nakamura and Hideo Itami special.
Yeah, and especially because you've got Akira Tozawa in the Cruiserweight division, and he's going to do really good there. But you get, because there's a part of them that still wants Kota Ibushi, if they could ever get Kota Ibushi, especially with his charisma. But you get the Rainmaker, and he is... So if you get either Ibushi or Okada, Hideo Itami's done. He doesn't have the charisma to compete as one of the Japanese stars when you look at an Okada, a Nakamura.
And Okada's the big hard hitting dude, right?
He is. He's the guy with the Rainmaker clothesline.
Yeah, they already got him. His name's Samoa Joe. I'm not joking. I mean, big physical dude. I mean, they pretty much push Joe like they push Okada.
Yeah. And the thing is, Okada has pretty much said he has no desire to go to WWE. He is a New Japan guy. So
yeah, I would love. I don't know WWE doesn't do this, but I would love like Okada versus Joe at WrestleMania as kind of a one-off.
See, that would be cool. It would be really cool if in the Cruiserweight Classic started to show, because they brought in people from other companies. It would be really neat for have some supercard at some point where they brought in other people. Hell, I loved that there was the possibility when they had Roman Reigns defending the WWE Championship in the Royal Rumble. What if they did that again in a couple of years, had one, whichever title, who cares which one, just one of the titles is up, and do an open call, anyone can come to this match, and you get, for one night only, an Okada shows up wearing the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and gets
Drew Galloway shows up.
Exactly.
You can do even Alberto Del Rio for a one-time thing, and then you end the match with 4 people in the ring, and 2 of them aren't from WWE. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, that would be. Next on the list, number 7 and 6, the Young Bucks.
It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they're just too. They don't have any real reason to come to why.
And physically, the WWE would never push them.
Exactly.
Based on how they look.
Why would they go somewhere where they're not going to be utilized correctly when they can pretty much write their own check in 3 of the next biggest companies in the world? So, yeah, I don't think they're going to show up either. Number 5, Kurt Angle.
No. I mean, only as a mentor-manager type role. Maybe a mentor-manager to American Alpha, which is the 2 on the nose for me. Maybe as a backstage guy, maybe as the general manager that replaces Mick Foley eventually or something like that. I could see that. Or if Daniel Bryan decides to, if he decides he's healthy enough to wrestle, maybe Kurt Angle is that GM position, but not as a wrestler.
You don't think they'd let him come in for one last match, one retirement match?
That would be cool, but I was just thinking when we were going through the list, I was thinking more of it as a full-time wrestler. Yeah. But yeah, I would love Kurt Angle in a retirement match. I think he deserves it. I don't go deserve much. You won't hear me say deserve very often because I think you get what you get. There's not a lot of deserve. But for what he did for the WWE at a time and what WWE has done for him and who he is as one of the greatest amateur wrestlers turned professional wrestlers, he made it okay to switch from amateur wrestling to professional wrestling. So that being said, yes, I think Kurt Angle gets the one. He should get the one more match. But as far as a full-time role, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Number 4, EC3.
It'll absolutely never happen because of the whole performance center thing and how he sued him. But he is the most WWE guy that's not in the WWE.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think there's too much bad blood there.
His physique, his mic work, I think he could get other people over as in a wrestler. I miss this role, the wrestler/manager role, and I think he would work perfectly in a wrestler/manager role, but he has it down. The problem is he's Ethan Carter III. That is his character. That is what has made him famous, and it's based on a person that WWE basically hates. Or actually doesn't respect at all. I wouldn't even say hate. Hate is something you reserve for people that you respect in some way. They just kind of like, you're an insignificant person.
And you're referring to Miss Dixie Carter, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, they have no respect for Dixie Carter. and you almost can't blame them. But he would have to be EC3. You couldn't bring him in as Derek Bateman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't foresee that happening. Number 3, Will Ospreay. Or Ospreay, however you pronounce it.
I mean, 205 all over him. But I think he has, because of the way he wrestles and his exciting style, I think he would be just as good on the main roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if he does not get completely broken down, his body due to the way he wrestles, I could see him there someday, but I could also just see him being on the indies and doing really well. So, number 2, Adam Cole.
I would love for them to do something with him and Kevin Owens, so yes.
Yeah, if Adam Cole doesn't show up in WWE someday, I will be surprised. But that's another... Kevin
Owens is another one of those guys that works better in groups. But he needs people with strong personalities and mic skills to work with. And he works better when he's working with people that he actually likes.
Yeah. So you bring in Adam Cole. Would you send him straight to the main roster, or would you put him in NXT?
Oh, yeah. There's no way. There's no way I would put him on NXT. I think first of all, he's too old. I mean, I don't think he's old, but it's at the point where if you're going to give him an NXT run, it should be very, very short. Like, I think Nakamura's been in NXT too long.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah, I'm just like, I love Nakamura. I mean, I'm not a big Nakamura guy, but I love how he works with other people. So, but the fact is, he's 37. He's been on NXT too long.
Yeah, because you could just send Adam Cole down to the Performance Center for a month or two to have him work out, kind of learn the ropes of the WWE style type of thing, and then just send him up to the main roster. He would be a great, depending on the city that they're in, he would be a great person to debut at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
My only worry with Adam Cole is that if you debut him at the Royal Rumble and you're not in just the right city, that he doesn't get much of a reaction, and then
no one knows.
Right. So, but if you put him in NXT for a little while, and the NXT crowd, like, let's say you debut him at an NXT takeover that is next to one of the big 4 pay-per-views, and that crowd loses their mind, then you're golden. Just like when Nakamura debuting in Dallas, that place went ballistic. You have Adam Cole debut at the takeover that's on WrestleMania weekend, and that would be a big opening, because if he's not going straight to the main roster, he deserves to debut, or maybe not the right word, he should debut in a bigger event, bigger than just Full Sail.
I would love to see someone on the NXT debut in their debut match before the NXT title.
Yeah, and he could be the kind of guy to do it.
Yeah.
Whoever the NXT championship is just sends out an open call. And that would be a good Full Sail moment, because not them discounting Full Sail, because Full Sail is a great environment, but you do that and then some music hits that people are like, who is this? And then Adam Cole walks out. Yeah. And number 1 on the list, Ricochet.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
You bring him in the cruiserweights, and then quickly you let him move up into the heavyweights, because by God, he's great.
He was tied up, but he would have been my face of the cruiserweight division. He'd be my face of 205 Live. He's a good-looking guy, very attractive man. No homo. But no, very attractive man. He's well-spoken. He can work pretty much as good as anybody in the world, and he's already been endorsed by The Rock.
Exactly. And, it's amazing that you're right, because he's a well-spoken, really good-looking dude, and the highest profile stuff he's done has been in Lucha Underground under a mask, where he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
But he has been, in a lot of ways, he's been one of the faces of that company since they debuted. He was their first champion and all of that. So yeah, Ricochet, I think had he not been tied up contractually, he would have been in that in the Cruiserweight Classic, because that he was one of those guys that they were, when Triple H was thinking about this, he was one of the first people he thought of.
Dude. And if they did it, they could do something awesome where he debuts with Tessa Blanchard. That would be awesome. And he's already friends with like half the WWE roster. He lives with Apollo Crews, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, him, Apollo Crews, Moose, Tessa Blanchard, and Ricochet all share. They shared a dwelling or they stayed together for a few weeks. But according to Twitter, they're always making fun of each other.
Actually make that a faction. Get in Ricochet, get in Moose, put them with Tessa Blanchard and Apollo Crews.
That would be a good faction.
That would be a great faction. Well, that is going to be NXT for this week. We've got 2 more things to talk about before you hop on the road down to TLC. First is the big show of this last week, which was Ring of Honor's Final Battle. It was Friday night, December 2nd, from the New York City Hammerstein Ballroom. Did you get a chance to watch the show?
I did not. You sent me the link, and I plan on watching it. I would definitely plan on watching it. I am off tomorrow, so I have a few hours to kill while I'm doing laundry and cleaning the kitchen, so I plan on watching it then, but there was no time in the day to watch it yesterday.
So what we'll do, I will go over the show, kind of go through the matches, and then next week we'll get your take on it.
Yeah, I can definitely react to some of the finishes, because I have and it was interesting, and of course, since I am in a wrestling group, I heard some of my other friends' reactions, and I'm kind of going to react to their reactions. So,
yeah. And I will say, from start to finish, this was a excellent show. They had some technical difficulties. Sometimes their production isn't very spot on, which is ironic considering they're owned by a ginormous media company. You would think they would have some of this stuff down, but honestly, I think Sinclair doesn't give 2 shits about Ring of Honor. They're just like, it's some crap we can put on some of our channels, whatever. But yeah, so the show opened up. We had the Rebellion, which is the former Cabinets, Caprice Coleman, Kenny King, and Rhett Titus, taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Donovan Dijak. Now, I'm not sure. I know Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley had talked about wanting to make a new, basically, faction of people and bring in younger stars. And one of the people they mentioned was Donovan Dijak. So I don't know how much this is the whole group is going to be called the Motor City Machine Guns. Dijak was wearing a Motor City Machine Guns shirt when he came out. It could have just been a one-night thing. This was a fantastic match, really fun. The Rebellion did win, but everyone looked good. Dijak looked fantastic. It was a lot of fun. The whole Rebellion's whole gimmick is they're pissed off at Ring of Honor because they feel like they haven't been used properly, and on their tights they all have the ROH symbol upside down. Really good gimmick. They're a really good heel faction, I think, and none of them had really been doing much at all before that, so it works really well. Donovan Dijak is a face now, being away from Prince Nana, I think is a good fit, and he worked actually really well with Shelley and Sabin, so this was a lot of fun. Definitely a match worth checking out. Next up, you had Silas Young with the Beer City Bruiser taking on Jushin Thunder Liger. The thing that I took away from this match was that honestly it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Silas Young got the win, which he should have, but it was kind of sloppy and they didn't work very well together. The other big takeaway is during this match we got the first appearance of Tye Dillinger's 10, which showed up again throughout the night. So we now have the 10 has crossed over outside of WWE land and is showing up in other promotions, which makes sense considering Ring of Honor fans and NXT fans are pretty much the same group of people. But every count out, every time both guys were laid out on the mat and the refs doing the counting, the 10 was going on, and that made me laugh. So yeah, this should have been better. Next up, we had Colt Cabana taking on Dalton Castle. Castle's entrance is phenomenal. It is so good. He got the win, but also this was another match that I thought should have been better. But it was, Dalton Castle being Dalton Castle, so right there it was fun. And next up was one of the big matches of the night. Cody Rhodes making his in-ring Ring of Honor debut, taking on Jay Lethal. And Jay Lethal in this was really taking the mantra of Ring of Honor is my home. I am Ring of Honor. If you're going to come in here, you're going to have to go through me. Both men had great entrances, were basically received as mega stars, mega champions. There were some technical issues with Cody's entrance because his wife comes out and does her little introduction for him, and they kind of fucked that up. But they come out. They had
So Cody played the heel, right?
Eventually. Yes, so they're having this basically face-on-face match. The Code of Honor at the beginning was really good. Oh, Jay Lethal had a jacket that says My List, and on it had Kurt Angle with a check mark, Ric Flair with a check mark, Jay Briscoe with a check mark, one other person whose name I can't remember, and then at the bottom it said Cody Rhodes, and the box wasn't checked yet. So a nice little, hat tip thing to Cody Rhodes' list. But yeah, it's as the match goes on, there's a point where the ref got hit, and it's the Todd Sinclair, the really big dude who's their main ref. And that guy he moves really fast for a dude that is that big. And have you ever noticed watching Ring of Honor matches? He will jump around the ring and move like he is, a third of his size, because that dude is big. He is a large man. But the ref got hit, isn't seeing anything, and Cody Rhodes goes for a dick kick, hits Jay Lethal squarely in the nards, hits him with the crossroads and gets the win, and then is just mocking the crowd the whole time. So in just a matter of moments, Cody Rhodes went from being one of the most over people of the evening into the most hated person of the evening, without a doubt. He just was so, at that point, everyone hated him. And this crowd was so hot. They were so into so many people, but they hated him.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, it was a great match, and what was so cool is it was unexpected, and then just to put the icing on the cake, as Cody Rhodes is leaving, he walks over to the commentary table, which was not at ringside, and he shoves Steve Corino for just no reason. And Steve Corino and Kevin Kelly were on fire the whole night. And it's sad because Steve Corino has signed a contract with WWE. He's heading to the Performance Center to be a coach, and who knows, maybe he will take on announcing duties on NXT, which I would love. But this might be the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view that we get him calling, and that's going to be, that's a moment because he's been a big deal to Ring of Honor for years. So him leaving the company is going to be a sad day. I hope they give him a big send-off on TV. That would be
awesome.
Yeah. But this was really, I think overall, the match itself was pretty good. Cody Rhodes is trying really hard to hang in the ring with a lot of these people, and he's just not in the same league as Jay Lethal, and you could kind of see that. But his personality really shined, especially when he went heel. So it was it'll be interesting to see what happens. A feud between the two of them could be a lot of fun. Next was the 6-man World Tag Title tournament finale. He had the Kingdom, which is now Matt Taven, TK O'Ryan, and Vinny
Marceglia.
Yeah, some name I can't pronounce. Taking on Leo Rush, Jay White, and Kushida. And this was a fun match. The Kingdom got the win, won the titles, which I think everyone figured was going to happen. And they talked a lot in commentary during the match about how Matt Taven has really bad luck at Final Battle. He lost the TV title at Final Battle one year. It was at last year's Final Battle where they were having, he and Mike Bennett were defending the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships against War Machine. And like a minute into the match, he completely blew out his leg. And he somehow finished the match. But he effed himself up real good. And it sucks because he and Bennett became a really, really good tag team together. But then Bennett wasn't long for the company anyway. He ended up heading over to TNA.
Well, Bennett was there for a long time, right?
Yeah. Bennett was in Ring of Honor for quite a while. So I'm not quite sure what I think about this incarnation of the Kingdom. It's kind of cool that Taven just kept it going. And I really like Taven. I hated him at first, but he's grown on me, mostly because he is so fun to watch in the ring. So we'll see. I mean, they almost need a valet. They need Maria is what they really need, because she was such an integral part of that team. But yeah, this was fun. The next match is one of the matches of the night, probably the second match of the night, and one that you definitely need to watch. Dragon Lee versus Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll for the World TV title. It was originally going to be a fatal 4-way with Bobby Fish, but apparently Bobby Fish's mom died, so he left and went home to be with his family. So our condolences go out to Bobby Fish and his family. Ospreay was treated like royalty, and so was Marty Scurll, even though he was obviously the heel. Dragon Lee did a good job. He's a CMLL guy, and so Ring of Honor and New Japan have a joint contract with CMLL to, borrow and trade superstars, or wrestlers, I should say. God, I was in WWE language there for a minute. This was fun as all hell. Scurll retained the title, and Ospreay and Scurll super over, ridiculously over. Though I've got to say one thing, the crossface chicken wing, which is Scurll's finish, and also Asuka's finish, I think is a horrible move. It does not look painful. It just, I don't get.
It's extremely painful.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't look it at all.
Well, you do the hammer lock when done correctly with the hammer lock and the crossface, and then your hands connect. I tell you, I've had someone put me in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if people were actually doing it like that, yes, that when it's done like that, that looks painful as all
I
get
thought that's how Asuka does it. That's how she did it on Bayley when she took when Bayley that first time she took the belt.
Yeah. Anymore you see it, she just ends up grabbing the arm and putting her other arm around the neck.
Yeah, when the arms connect like Bob Backlund intends, yeah, it's an extremely painful move.
And no one's doing it like that. And Marty Scurll sure isn't doing it like that. So when they do it now, it looks just...
Tell them to fix it.
Do what?
I'm going to hit him up on Twitter and tell him to fix it.
Okay, good. You do that. Yeah, so that was fun. Scurll is a great villain. The whole villain character he's got going on is great. Next up, match of the night, I think easily, the Briscoes versus the Young Bucks for the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Both of these teams are stupid over. I mean, just ridiculous the way the crowd was into both of these teams.
And the Bucks play heels, right?
Yes. The Bucks play heels, but they're like the cool heels because everyone loves them. And it's just great. It was a spot fest, obviously, at times. But it ends with there's a series of super kicks, and the Bucks are both on their knees, or not the Bucks. The Briscoes are on their knees in the middle of the ring, and they just one of them had just kicked out of something, maybe a 5-star Meltzer driver, and they give him some super kicks, and then Jay wakes up and flips him off, and you hear him yell, "Fuck you! I hate you guys!" And then the Bucks just go into this like 10, I swear to God, super kicks right in a row, at least. And whenever the Bucks do a super kick, Steve Corino screams super kick. Well, he and Kevin Kelly just started trading off saying super kick over and over and over. It's a great. You have to watch this match. It is so much fun. I mean, so much that it has moved into my list of matches of the year. I had that much fun watching it because every time the Briscoes almost got a pin, I was just on the edge of my seat. But the Bucks did win after that series of super kicks, and right after they win, the lights go out, and who appears on the screen but Broken Matt Hardy.
Really?
Yes. And he calls them Bucks of Young, and he says, "Dem boys, you're about to be made obsolete. Me and Brother Nero are going to delete your tag team title reign." And so yeah, the Hardys are coming to Ring of Honor.
You know what? You just sold me on the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yep. I mean, it was, and what sucked is I kind of was spoiled about it. So that took a little bit away, but that was such a cool moment. That's probably going, I think that moved into my honorable mentions for our list we're about to talk about here in a minute. But this was so good. And the place went nuts. I mean, they were losing their minds. Because as far as everyone knows, the Hardys are under contract to TNA. So unless TNA is really, truly about to fall apart and just does not give any craps anymore, how that could legally happen, I don't know. But man, it was so cool. Broken Matt, Brother Nero in Ring of Honor, and they will, if they actually show up, they will be the ones to take those belts off the Young Bucks, and then they will be the only tag team in history that can say that they were WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, that would put them in Legion of Doom territory.
Exactly. It was such a cool moment. And then there was still one more match. There was the main event, Kyle O'Reilly taking on Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor title. No DQ match. This was a good match. It suffered having just followed two fantastic matches. Kyle O'Reilly got some good reaction. Adam Cole was over as fuck because the ROH crowd loves Adam Cole. It doesn't matter. He could get out and he could literally jump on the rails, pull down his pants, and crap in a 5-year-old's mouth, and he would get cheered.
Whoa, that was very descriptive.
But I mean,
all right,
yeah,
I get it.
both of them bled. And unfortunately, the camera, in both cases when they bled, they took some pretty, like, Kyle O'Reilly got hit with he was coming off the apron, and Cole hit him with the belt across the face. And when he fell, his head conveniently went under the ring. And it's like, I was watching, I was like, oh, he's blading. And then there was a spot where they were on the apron, and O'Reilly has Cole in the is it the Dragon Sleeper, the one that's basically a front face lock where you've got your legs wrapped around your opponent.
I don't know. I just call it a sleeper, honestly. Guillotine choke.
Yeah, guillotine choke. And they fall, and it basically turns into a DDT on Cole into a table on the outside of the ring. And conveniently, the tablecloth falls over Adam Cole's head, and he stays there for a little while. And when he comes up, he's got blood. Like, oh, he bladed right there. But that was fine. The blood added to the match. It was a good match. It ended with there was a thumbtack spot. So Cole brought some thumbtacks into the ring, and eventually, who was it? One of them got power bombed into the thumbtacks, and when that happened, Kyle O'Reilly turned it into a cross arm breaker, the same move that Del Rio uses, and you could see Adam Cole's arm hyperextending, and Cole tapped out. Kyle O'Reilly is your new Ring of Honor champion. And it took a minute before the crowd really reacted to that. It was this delayed reaction because there was the tap out, and people were like, wait, it's over? And then when he was handed the belt, when Kerry Silkin got in the ring and handed him the title, then the crowd reacted. But I think they would have preferred Adam Cole win. It was a good match.
So do you think this is, again, this is a thought process, do you think this is a way to eventually put the title on Cody Rhodes?
Oh, God.
Since Cody is playing the heel, so at Cole, this is unusually short ROH title reign.
Yeah.
So were they trying to put it on a face so Cody Rhodes can then beat their face champion as a heel?
Maybe. I don't know if Ring of Honor fans would embrace that. I mean, you very well could see that happen. My thought the first thing I thought when that happened, and it kind of ties back into the list we talked about a little bit ago, is, okay, Adam Cole's contract might be almost over, and he is entertaining a deal from WWE. That was like my first thought, is Adam Cole's about to leave.
Yeah, okay. Well, then that makes even more sense.
So, yeah, it was a good match. I don't think it was their best match that the two of them have had. The crowd was really into it until the end, and then it was weird. It was like they were super loud, and then they got kind of quiet. But again, by then, after that Briscoes Young Bucks match, they were spent. I was spent. But it was overall, this was a really good pay-per-view. So many people were just super over, and it's definitely worth watching. At the very least, those key matches you've got to check out. So if you have time this week, definitely watch it, and we can talk about it on next week's episode. But we've got one more thing to talk about, unless you wanted any other thoughts on Ring of Honor.
I am good.
Okay, so we are now doing our top 5 for the week, and this is the top 5 moments of 2016, and I've got to say, this one was really hard for me in a lot of ways, because I really had to think about it. My number one was just immediately popped in my head, but this was a hard match, a hard list to come up with. Did you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, Seth Rollins coming back, and he comes back and he debuts and he drops Roman Reigns with the pedigree. Thought that was a pretty good moment.
Damn it, I forgot about that one.
Finn Balor beating Roman Reigns on Raw, because it was so unexpected. It was like, and Roman Reigns was kind of in the doghouse. You didn't know how they were going through, but once he hits his move, and then he gets the 3, Finn Balor goes over on Roman Reigns that night, and I thought that was an amazing moment.
Damn it. Forgot about that one.
All right. And then last one this is the most recent moment. It was Goldberg dominates Brock Lesnar. Because even though I did not like it myself, it was the shocking moment that had the world talking.
That is true. That's a good one. So those are all good honorable mentions. I have a few myself. My first one was Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa winning the NXT tag team titles at TakeOver Toronto. That the post match I thought was great. My next is Bobby Roode's entrances at both TakeOver Brooklyn and Toronto were just epic moments, I thought. And Nakamura's entrance at all three of the takeovers he was at, Dallas, Brooklyn, and Toronto. And then the most recent one, Broken Matt Hardy appearing at Ring of Honor's Final Battle. I
didn't experience that one, so I couldn't have been on this.
That was crazy. So let's go on number 5. What is number 5 in your list?
All right. Honestly, 3, 4, and 5 can honestly be switched around. But I'm going to go with Sasha beating Charlotte the first time on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, the first time she beat her on Monday Night Raw. I think that was L.A. And it was just they main evented the show. It was a good match, and it was just a moment that it was like it was the culmination of all their hard work. Hey, you're ending a show. Tip hat to the women's division, and they did it, and it was very emotional, and Sasha was crying. It was a good moment.
Damn it. See, I forgot about that one too. Mm-hmm. This was one of those.
This is going to be a very personal list.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to be the ones that ring to you. It's not like overarching moments, but hey, they meant a lot to me. Like all mine were main roster. I don't have an NXT one on mine, but you of course prefer the NXT product, so you're probably going to have a lot more NXT moments than me.
Well, actually, yeah. Yes, well, NXT related. So my number 5 was the night after Wrestle Kingdom, and I forget what it's called. It's basically New Japan Pro Wrestling's Raw After Mania a night, and it was when Kenny Omega and the Bullet Club turned on AJ Styles.
That led to something. That was this year?
That was this year. That was in January.
Oh, wow. So big year for AJ Styles.
Big year for AJ Styles because they'd had a tag team match and they won, and Styles is standing on the middle rope celebrating, and Kenny Omega walked under him, put him in the one-winged angel, and the Young Bucks get in the ring and they're like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And Kenny was like, "This is where we're going," and they're like, "Okay," and so they beat down AJ. They do the whole combo Meltzer driver into the Styles Clash with the super kicks thing, and they leave AJ laying in the ring, and afterwards AJ gets up and he just looks like he can barely move, and he bows to the crowd, all 4 sides of the ring. He bows and he walks off and he gets this big "Thank you AJ" chants. The place is just going nuts. And it was in that was the moment where Kenny Omega got on the mic and said, "I'm not going back after the junior title. I'm not a junior. Shinsuke Nakamura, I want the Intercontinental title," which sent Kenny Omega onto his main event level push where he is now. And it was just so cool. And it's a really subtle thing that ties into another moment on my list, where the person who got beat down in this moment, when he makes his appearance later on in the month somewhere else, and he's still walking gingerly. And I don't know if that was done intentionally or not, but I thought that was nice. So that was my number 5. Number 4, what you got?
Shane McMahon, the night after WrestleMania. When he comes out, when his music hits, and he's limping to talk to Vince McMahon, I'm just saying, other than Enzo and Cass, I mean, that was the loudest moment of the night, and it was shaking,
I didn't even think the crowd was going to react that way. I mean, I know that the fans love Shane McMahon, but like I said, the building was shaking. It was crazy. It was like the energy. I mean, my brother, who falls asleep at every snap, was wide awake and completely alert for that moment. It was just a monumental ovation.
That was cool. And a great thing about that, and something Shane did then after Survivor Series, is he was still selling his injuries from the night before. He's one of the few people that does that. And yeah, that was a cool moment. That was very cool. So for me, my number 4 came from the Cruiserweight Classic. It was the post-match Johnny Gargano Tommaso Ciampa post-match where they had their match. Johnny wins. Tommaso leaves the ring, stops, turns around, gets back in the ring. They sit in the ring, embrace, and he raises Johnny Gargano's hand. That was amazing, I thought. I choked up. It was so good. And that's a match you will, when we talk about matches of the year, our match of the year list in however many weeks, whenever we do that, we will discuss that one again. So love that. What's your number? Well, did you like that match?
I love that. And I thought it told a perfect story. That's especially how the match ended. It ended because Ciampa wouldn't go to that next level that he needed to go to, so it allowed Gargano to win the match.
Yep. So what is your number 3?
Charlotte versus Sasha versus Becky WrestleMania match.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Those three. The entrances were great, especially Sasha with Snoop Dogg. Charlotte debuted the robe that time, which was a part of her dad's robe, and reconfigured for her. Those three staring at the ring at each other. 3, as we know, really close friends. 3 of the 4 horsewomen are marquee. They're on the chair. They're on the shirt. Marquee matchup at WrestleMania. It was everything. They debuted the new belt. I mean, everything that had to do with that moment was just probably the number one moment in women's wrestling.
That was a great moment. I didn't think about that one either. But I loved like some of the behind the scenes stuff they showed with Sasha looking at the marquee, the poster on the outside of the building. They had the 3 of them front and center, and she starts just tearing up. Yeah, that one. That is, though, when we talk about matches of the year, which my list is way too long. That we're going to talk about that one again.
We might just have to do a match of the year show.
We might, because I got a lot of ties on there. I had too many good matches. All right, so my number 3 is, and for the life of me, I can't remember which Raw or pay-per-view this happened on, but it was that real first John Cena AJ Styles standoff where you had the crowd losing their mind going, "Let's go Cena, AJ Styles" chants that just continued and continued, and they both just kind of stood there. And it was really before AJ went full-blown heel. I love that moment.
That was a great moment, and it sucks that it wasn't on my list.
We'll see, we both remember things that the other one forgot. There we go. All right, what is your number 2?
This is not a number 2. It is a 1. I have 2 number 1s.
Okay.
They meant everything to me, both of them. One I actually cried, and one pretty much gives me as close to crying as I'm ever going to get. So, 1A, Kevin Owens wins the WWE title, or ends the Universal title. The setup was it was a fatal 4-way. It had Cass and everyone in it. I didn't think there was any way. I thought it would be Rollins or Reigns. I didn't think it would be any way Kevin Owens was coming out the title champion. That moment, that whole last minute where Triple H comes in and pedigrees Roman so Seth Rollins can get the win, and then pedigrees Rollins so Kevin Owens went, and kind of handing Kevin Owens the keys to the kingdom. That is amazing. That was an amazing moment. It was the culmination of me being a Kevin Owens fan. The times that I've met him, He's always been really nice. And then the ROH times where when he finally beat Generico and he packaged pile drive Maria, which some you'll never see in the WWE, but he was like the first moment I saw him, he became one of my favorite people. And that was the culmination of being a fan of his.
Very cool. Yeah, I should have thought about that one as well. That was a great moment. That was a really good match. That whole thing, because that was the post. Was that post Battleground, or was that post? No, that was post SummerSlam.
Yeah,
and that was the Raw after SummerSlam, and that whole show was really good. But that was a great match. That was.
It wasn't the Raw after SummerSlam. It was the week later. Right. They did the qualifying matches on the Raw after SummerSlam, and then a week later they did the actual match.
That's right. You're right.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. That was so good. That whole thing was really well done. And the great thing I thought about that was the fact that they did give it to Kevin Owens, and it was this whole it's not what everyone thinks it's going to be, and we do have faith in these new guys. That was very cool. So my number 2 moment is also from the Cruiserweight Classic. It's the Cedric Alexander post-match from when he lost to Kota Ibushi, which is one of my favorite matches of the year. And that moment was amazing. He leaves the ring. The crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Cedric." Going just berserk for him. He's just standing there. He's got tears in his eyes, like, what did I do to deserve getting this kind of ovation? And then they started chanting, "Please sign Cedric," and like so loud and going nuts. And then Triple H walks out and gives the thumbs up to the crowd, basically saying, "Yes, we're signing him." And I just love that moment. That moment kills me. I've watched it a number of times, and right there, just an absolute star was born and solidified in that moment, I thought.
I am a huge Cedric Alexander fan. He's probably was my top indie guy after AJ left. I've been on him for a while, so that moment, everyone will know how much I love that match. And the moment with Triple H and giving him kind of the seal of approval, like, okay, we can make this guy work. It was a really good moment.
All right. And your number 1B.
Number 1B, it was the most phenomenal moment of the year, is when AJ Styles, 20 years somewhat in this business, becomes the WWE World Champion.
Okay. See, now, the same gentleman is in my number 1 moment, but it's a different moment.
Yeah, no, it's when he actually won the title, because he comes in, and it's kind of how I'm expecting it's going to be. He's over, and they put him in a match with Jericho. He puts Jericho over. Put him in a match with Reigns. Puts Reigns over. Put him in another match with Reigns. Put Reigns over. And he just kept, I just like, dude, they're just going to make him this super high profile. He's the extreme version of Dolph Ziggler. He's just going to be used to put all these people over. And, the Dean Ambrose match, I did not know that how it was going to end. I thought they were pushing Dean Ambrose to the moon, and he was going to have a nice long title run. He kicks him in the Jimmy Styles Clash, and it was everything that I thought it would be. Every emotion bubbled up. I just started, and it's funny. It's like a movie. I started getting flashes of all those different moments and shows that I've seen AJ Styles over the years. The first time he beat Jeff Jarrett for the title, how he kind of took a demotion, and him and Christopher Daniels were the TNA tag belts, and then he was the X Division guy, and then his matches with Samoa Joe. All that, I felt like it wrapped up to that moment when AJ Styles, after betting on himself and losing the guaranteed money of TNA to travel around the world, pretty much he's kind of doing what Cody Rhodes is doing now, and he built his star so bright that even the WWE couldn't dim it, and he's the world champion.
That was That was a great moment. For me, it was AJ Styles' debut at the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
That was incredible. The whole thing. And his whole time in the Rumble, he was in the Rumble, I think, longer than anyone this year, 30 minutes. And I thought they were really smart in the way that they eliminated him by having someone as popular as Kevin Owens eliminate him. Because had Roman Reigns eliminated him, it would have just been... people would hate Roman Reigns till the day he dies, and then some, just for that alone. But yeah, Kevin Owens eliminating him, and then Dean Ambrose coming out, and then because the crowd at that point was like, okay, fuck you, we hate you. And then Ambrose came out, and then Sami Zayn came out, and it saved everything. And the crowd got back into it. But yeah, that when his music hit, just like we talked about debuts last week, and he came out, it was awesome. And you're right, that when he won the title, that was fantastic. And I think he, more than anyone else, I think he has benefited from the brand split, because I'm not sure, had they not split brands, if he would ever have become a WWE champion. But with the brand split, it's like there's zero reason for him not to be one of those champions. And he's been a fantastic world champion on SmackDown. He's carried that brand beautifully, and I hope he holds that belt for a very long time. Who knows?
He's undefeated in televised singles matches against John Cena.
Just wrap that around your head, folks.
Yes.
That is so cool. Now, does that mean by default, since James Ellsworth has beaten him 3 times, that James Ellsworth is better than John Cena?
Yes, that's exactly what it means. I'm going to use the broken logic, which means which unfortunately means Braun Strowman is the greatest wrestler ever.
Oh, sweet Jesus, man!
Because he beat James Ellsworth in like 12 seconds.
Oh no, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. All right, well that's our top 5 for this week. Do we have any ideas of which one we're going to do next week?
I mean, you know what? I picked the last 3. I want to see what you pick.
Oh man.
Just go off the top of your head. That's generally what I do.
Well, do we want to continue the 2016?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can say that would be positive.
All right, so we're in December. So we're going to talk shop here for a second, folks. I'm assuming on Christmas Day, which is a Sunday, we're not going to do a show. Because, it's Christmas and I've got kids opening presents and stuff. So We'll do a show, probably just that, if you're available Monday the 26th, we'll do our regular episode that Monday.
Absolutely.
So that means we've got the 2 more Sundays before that one, before Christmas, and we have 2 more for sure end of the year lists that we need to do, which are matches of the year and wrestlers of the year. So why don't we do matches of the year next week?
All right, let's do matches of the year.
All right.
You know what's awesome? It's because it might come off as a bad thing to some people, but it actually adds to the show that you are more of an NXT/indie fan. Your matches are going to probably be completely different than mine.
I like that. Yeah, it's a nice dynamic, because if we were just talking about the same thing and we liked all the same things always, it would get really boring. So next week we're going to do top 5 matches of 2016. I've already got my list done. It's been written for a little while now. So it's going to be fun. And beyond that, you're heading to TLC after we get done with this.
Literally going to close the computer, go jump in the car, and go pick up Rusty and drive to Texas.
All right. Are you guys staying the night, or are you driving home afterwards?
Oh, driving home right after.
Oh, God. You're going to be so tired tomorrow. Oh.
No. This is what I do.
Because that's what you do,
seriously,
right?
when I say this is what I do. I mean, it's not... I'll sleep in the morning, and then I'll be fine.
All right. Well, we will tomorrow morning record... You want to do around a usual time?
Yeah, perfect for me.
Perfect. We will record our thoughts on TLC. That will be up on our YouTube channel. Again, youtube.com/AroundTheRingOK. You can follow the show on the social medias of Facebook and Twitter @AroundTheRingOK, and make sure to check out our homepage, AroundTheRingOK.wordpress.com. If all goes well today, I will get some more stuff up on our YouTube channel. I was not able to do that this week because, reasons and adulting. So had stuff to do. One real quick before I let you go and get in the car, I did want to ask you what your thoughts were on the big Invasion crossover on the CW of all of their DC Comics TV shows.
I finished it last night because I got extremely busy and couldn't watch Legends of Tomorrow, and I was very excited about it. It was when Felicity and Kara looked at each other in the eye, and she's like, it's like looking in the mirror. And I was like, I've thought that so many times that when she is just playing Kara character, she's basically Felicity Smoke. So that was kind of cool. And then Brandon Ruth made a super vague reference. He said, man, she kind of reminds me of my cousin, which was so awesome. I geeked out on that because, of course, Brandon Ruth played Superman, and she played Supergirl,
yes,
which is his cousin. So I was like, I get it, and I felt good because I got it.
Yes. That one, see, I actually missed that one I remember hearing it, and it was like the next day I read a story about that. I was like, oh, yeah. The little moment that stood out to me on that Legends episode, which that Legends episode was so good, because in a way it was just like, it was an episode of all 4 of the shows, really. Because it ended with Barry and Oliver, having a beer, and I thought that was very cool. But that moment when Oliver and Barry and Kara are talking, and Kara says, I guess we really are the world's mightiest heroes, and it was a nice little jab at the Avengers.
Yes, that was awesome.
That was awesome. I loved the entire thing. I thought the 100th episode of Arrow was really cool, with all the throwbacks to what's gone on the last 5 years. The only thing that would have made it better had they actually gotten Manu Bennett to be Deathstroke. But, they could put some fool in the suit, and that's fine. It's whatever. It would have been...
He was super pissed when they decided to kill his character, and I agree. I just think the one thing with Arrow is too much finality, is that they don't have that bad guy that just stays around. Thea's dad, I always forget, Malcolm Merlin.
Yeah.
I guess he's the closest thing to that, but I would like if, every year they were doing like an episode with that character, Deathstroke, and just bring him back, and, he'd be the one guy that, or would be the one guy that he just can't kill.
Yeah, that would be, I would like that too. I loved that the continuation of the Cisco Barry storyline, and Cisco in the time traveling screwed something up and realized, oh, I did what Barry did. And the one thing I've thought through that whole thing is, at some point, Barry should just say, look, I know I screwed up, but I did not go back in time and kill your brother myself.
I completely disagree. I think he killed his brother.
Well, it was the unintended consequence of his actions. He wasn't
exactly. So I don't care if you drive into my car on purpose and kill me, or if you just looked at the red light and thought it was green and then turned into me and killed me. I'm still dead.
Good point. Intent is very important. So
it's only important to me when you're trying to decide on how long someone should stay in jail. But as far as me being pissed off, I don't care if you intended it for it to happen. It happened.
I can see that. But I did like that dynamic. I thought they did. It was really nice seeing a lot of the overarching things from all 3 of the shows kind of, come front and center in all 3 of the shows. It's like you had Legend storylines happening in Flash. You had Arrow storylines happening in all of them. You had Flash storylines happening in all of them. So that was cool.
Yeah, I would have liked Hank Henshaw to meet Oliver Queen, because they are both extreme alphas. And that would have been a cool dynamic.
That would have been. But now that Kara has that little tachyon thing and can call over to the other Earths anytime, you wonder how long before we get an episode with Oliver coming over to Kara's Earth to help her with something or whatnot. So yeah, it was really, really good. They have done, I think, such a fantastic job on the CW. creating that universe and molding it and building it, and to have 4 shows that are interconnected with all their own separate personalities and their separate looks, but are obviously still part of the same reality, even with Kara's Earth being a different Earth but part of the same multiverse, is really cool. And it's a comic book fan's dream come true in a lot of ways. So
yeah, and it's a TV fan. You know, me, I've never read comics, but I've seen like every comic book movie ever and watched every comic book TV show. And the one thing you want is that what you do on this episode affected this person on this episode. So the Flash, going back on the Flashpoint, it didn't just change Flash. It changed Arrow. It changed Legends. It turned one daughter into a son and gave the other one, maybe it was his interaction, maybe it was the Flashpoint, but it gave him a daughter that he never knew existed, and he doesn't want to give her up.
Yeah, it's great storytelling, and in a way, it makes the people making all the DC movies, it makes their job even harder, because no matter what, especially from the comic book fan standpoint, or even just the people who are into genre movie and TV, anybody that watches those shows, they're going to go see Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, and they're going to, even if it's unintentional, in their head, they're going to compare that universe to what they're watching on TV every week. So they really have to step up their game. But hey, you got to hit the road, and I better let you go so you can get to Dallas all safe and sound. And what time does actually show start tonight, or what time do they let you in the building?
They're going to let us in at 5:30. Pre-show starts at 6.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what your hot takes from the arena, and I will be watching it tonight. And if I don't finish it tonight, I'll watch it in the morning, and we will give you that review on the YouTube channel tomorrow. And thanks as always, folks, for listening in, and we will see you soon. Take care, guys.
Take care.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Bam! Woo!
That sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.